Patty is a globally renowned Reiki healer, the founder of Pause and Joy Awareness and Lifestyle Program. She was featured in 2017's critically acclaimed Heal documentary. She uses powerful techniques to bring healing to her clients, and she's here today to share some of those techniques with us and to shed light on how we can find gratitude and comfort during this time, despite the upheaval across the world. Patty Penn, so happy to have you back today.
Oh, so happy to be here. Thank you for asking me back on.
Oh my
I
gosh.
love Better Together.
It's been a long time and too long. I have to say, you know, we our studio has now powered down twice. So if anybody is watching, I want you to know this is not normal. And we're going to find the solution to it. But Patty, is there an energetic reason we should be considering?
Seriously.
Too much energy in the in the internet right now. But let's see what's gonna come up.
I know.
Oh, please tell us, Patty.
No. Well, it's funny because even as we were trying to get back up, we were talking about life cleanups and a butterfly. We found a butterfly on the street today, just on the road. And so I went to pick it up and it came out of my hand and went for a walk with us.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It was like 10 minutes and then I kind of felt her energy wanting to like get down. So I was like, okay. So I put her on a shrub and she kind of flew and I was like, okay, cool. But you know, what I've read and I've asked my followers on Instagram, you know, it's a sign either of someone coming to you from, you know, that's passed on, or transformation or new beginnings. And I definitely feel like I'm in that right now. But I think collectively everybody's trying to find their new beginning because it's a collective reset. This is, I say to everyone, if you're ever going to dump your old life and start a new one, it's now. So tell me what you're thinking.
Well, the butterflies are really beautiful, right? But when you look at the transformation from the caterpillar and when it goes in the cocoon, it has to turn into like a smoothie to transmute itself into the butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a gnarly process.
Yeah.
And we look at the butterfly and we're like, that's so beautiful, but we don't want to look at this transition phase, which is something I work with a lot of, the smoothie phase, where people have to look at some of the dark things that have happened in their life, they have to go there, the it that they don't want to go to, because it lingers. It's like the elephant in the room, the inherited beliefs, you know, because when we have patterns in our life or repetitive things or people that come into our life, you're like, oh, that's exactly the same as the last three bosses that I've had.
Yep.
You have to ask yourself, what is it in me that is putting up with this? Why am I not valuing who I am or what I have? And I'm buying into something that might not be true for me. Maybe I keep going to these different jobs because I really need to start my own thing. And how many times do I need to get the same person bully me?
Yeah. Yeah, and
So
we've had a session on this before, and
yeah,
it's true. You know, when we talk about it, the patterns are there. They're just signals. Like, okay, what, like,
yeah.
you're not valuing yourself, or you're not. Yeah, usually it's like, I think it's like that. Like, at least for me, it was, I wasn't valuing myself enough or at all, and then the same thing kept happening over and over.
Because we take ourselves for granted. That's the gratitude, right? You take the ideas that come to you for granted. You know, there's someone sitting today that could have an innovation, that could have an idea about something that's going to change the landscape of how we do something. You know, back in 2008, there was a lot of innovations that came out of that time period. You know, Uber was started, all of these things started. So we have to, you know, when those ideas come to us, when those innovations, when those inspirations come to us, they've chosen us. But we lack the gratitude that it's chosen us if I don't feel enough. If I have the belief that I'm not enough, or I'm not worthy, then who am I to bring that forward
Yeah.
or ask for help and how to get this off the ground? Or you feel there's a lack of having the responsibility, the having the ability to respond to that thing that's calling you. And that is a lot to overcome, especially in marginalized communities, especially with people who weren't brought up with cheerleading parents, especially where they were brought up in environments that were, say, hostile to, you have there's an expression called the tall poppy syndrome, of standing out, of they'll cut your head off or who do you think you are. So these are the things that you always have to overcome. And I think a lot of people are looking at, what is it I really want to do now? I mean, this is it's an incubation period for everyone. It's global. This is a phenomenon.
Yeah.
So when you really kind of think about it like that, you have to then go into kind of self-regulation and self-inquiry of like, what is stopping me deciding to become a yoga teacher? What is stopping me writing that book? What is stopping me starting that initiative in my town, or that after school program, or the mindfulness program for kids? What is it that's in my way? And then you have to excavate and dig it up. And
Yeah.
sometimes it can be scary
Oh, yeah. It's
because,
great pushing that shit down. You just keep that down, hide it under the bed, don't deal with it, but it
yeah,
keeps
well,
rearing its
we're in the
ugly
pressure
head.
cooker. I mean, everybody's in the pressure cooker. And we're here to say that, we're better together when everybody's bringing forward what their joy is or what their idea is. And us all celebrating that, as all supporting each other's execution, not the thinking of it. When people talk about stuff a lot and they talk and talk and it goes around in the head, you want to be able to get it out and execute it and start to make the steps towards, looking at how to build that website, looking how to build that Patreon page, looking at how you're going to get the grant for that initiative for your community, all the different things. And there's so many avenues now, and I think it's a place where people are really in action, but sometimes they don't have the tools to know how to overcome,
Yeah, the tools are
because
important.
they get anxious, they hang on labels of, I'm too anxious, I have, I feel, I get lazy, or I procrastinate. These are labels that are really hiding something that's a disguise for fear.
Hmm.
And when you start to go behind the disguise, you start to see your own stuff. And I have a process. I'm actually creating a website right now called the Cope Kit. And it's for people that don't know how to cope, but it will kind of open things up for you to unpack, what are the patterns? What are my limiting beliefs? What are my inherited beliefs?
Mm-hmm.
Because when I look at, people who say, well, my father didn't do that, didn't activate, he never went and did that company that he was supposed to do. And I said, but you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But that was the 1950s. This is 2010, 2020. So, what is the thing that you have in common that's coming down the generations of, I just don't feel that I have, the capability, or I just don't feel that I have the confidence, or the permission is the big one.
Talk about that.
People feel like they need some kind of permission slip. They need some permission to, they're waiting to be anointed by something or someone. It's kind of like Oliver Twist, right? Please, sir, can I have some more? Please, sir, can I, bring my initiative forward? Please, sir, who do I think I am? And when you start to excavate those things, you start to see that this is something coming down your wherever you were brought up. It might be culturally, it might be society wise, it might be because you that was the message you received as a woman, maybe that was the message you received as a person of color. These are the things that we're overcoming now, so that everybody, it's just not the confident that are bringing their initiatives and their ideas forward. It's everyone.
Yeah. How do
And
you
then
fix that though? How do you fix needing or thinking you need permission?
you have to collapse it. You have to collapse this need within you that is buying in to the excuse that you need permission, because that's another disguise for fear. And delay is the big one. And now that there's no distractions, you can't go out for dinner, sit with your friends, or
Mm-hmm.
go pick up your coffee. There's no distractions for anyone. You're just sitting with yourself. And when you sit with yourself, you start to see where you're wasting time and why you are delaying doing what you came here to do, which is sometimes, when people really tap into that, they're every single person has something that they came here to bring forward. The Sufis call it like the treasure within. And, you know, God said, where will I hide it? Where will we put it so that they'll go out and look for it? And they said, well, the last place they will look, inside. Because we look for it all outside of the validation or someone saying, oh, yes, you have permission to do better together. You have permission to do your idea.
Hmm.
You have permission to go there. You have permission to um, be the rock star that you came here to be, whatever that is, or be the light in your community that you came here to be. But maybe that's between you and your own communion of your future self compelling you, pulling you, or the universe, if that's your connection, or God, or spirit. When we start to connect to that inner listener, and then the knower within, the thing that knows, then you start to see shifts because you can't ignore it. We're really good at ignoring.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. I think that's
Oh, yeah.
that's the problem, right? As you go through life and you keep, like I said, pushing that stuff down or hiding it under the mental or the emotional bed, and the patterns just keep coming, the things keep coming, and you just kind of learn. You have a tolerance level, right? Like for me, I had a breakthrough yesterday where I realized that Kevin and I have an incredible tolerance for abuse because we grew up in abusive situations. And so we are incredibly okay with people around us taking advantage of us, being not kind, being complete narcissists,
Yeah.
because we grew up with narcissists. And so it hit me yesterday. And I know we've had these moments maybe before, but we were always in our tornadoes. But it's like, it's really connecting with me now where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, this is a pattern. This is a problem. We have gone through life just carrying so many people and allowing
Yes.
allowing it, which is our fault, and we're exhausted from it. So now it's like we got to clean up because I can't live like this anymore.
Yes, but there's a few things going on with that because you have normalized.
Yeah.
It was normal for you to be in those abusive situations growing up, so it's kind of predictable for you to be in those because it's safe. It's something
You
it's
know.
familiar.
Yeah, and I
But
share this in
then,
case somebody else is dealing with this as well because I'm doing a lot of work and I'm still having to unfold and dig up this stuff. So yeah, I mean, keep talking. It's a lot.
But here's the other part of it. You mentioned the narcissists that you attract
Hmm.
and you help a lot of people. But if you were to really start to expand your capacity for joy, both you and Kevin, to enjoy more, would that seem narcissistic to you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guilt that you have when you're living your best life and other people aren't. So I think that's part of the problem, right? That's why when people are successful in life, they bring everybody with them, they take care of everybody, they pay for everybody, because there's like a guilt, a success guilt, right?
Yes, but that guilt is not serving you or Kevin,
No.
because think of the initiatives that you could create and the reach that you could create if you weren't holding yourself back with that guilt.
Yeah.
Think of the foundations or whatever it is that you would get involved in, because I know you get involved in a lot of charities, and what greater things that you could do if you weren't stroking your guilt.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think I have that anymore. I think that you get there at some point and
Yeah.
then it becomes your swimming pool. That's the pool you're swimming in. And
Yeah.
so I have to get out of this pool. I got to go build a new one. I got to drain this one and go build a new one with slides and waterfalls and like I got to go build a new pool because I can't be my best self until I do.
Or you just decide right now that there is no building of the pool, and you just decide that the pool that you're in is going to have the water slides, is going to have the noodles, is going to have the best people that you can work with,
Mhm.
because that's going to repel whoever's in the pool. They're just
Mm.
going to get out the pool because
Okay.
they can't bear being around you in that vibration. It's unbearable. So there's no more building, there's just you to be more you and Kevin to be more Kevin, and decide that that's what you want to focus on and put your energy in, and have, and really trust your energetic integrity, and then the energy takes care of it itself. They just get spat out or they get pinged out. They can't be around it. When you're compensating for them, they'll be there.
Yeah.
When you're pandering to them because you don't want them to hate you, they'll be there. But the moment you decide to put that switch and just switch it, they will leave.
Yeah. So they find their own way out. They
Yeah,
work
because
themselves out.
it's too nauseating
Yeah.
to be around,
Yeah.
because it's a different frequency.
Yeah.
Everything's frequency, everything's energy, even your emotions are energy.
Patty, you're so right. I know you're always right, but even I declared this maybe 24 hours ago, maybe
Yeah.
48
Yeah.
hours ago, and literally I'm already seeing it happen.
Yes, there's
People are
nothing to do.
flocking, like,
So
goodbye.
true.
And I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
cool. Not having to do it myself. Bye.
yeah, there's nothing to do. It's like when people begin working with me, I say in my level one book, there will be people that will just leave your life when you start to do this work, because they didn't sign up for this person. So it's not their fault. They didn't sign up for this person. They signed up for the other person that they could hijack or take hostage.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, Kevin's really good at being taken hostage. I am not as hard, but by proxy, I get taken hostage, and I don't
Yeah,
want to do it anymore.
no, no, and that's for Kevin to clear
Yeah.
and know that it's affecting you in your orbit because you're together.
Yeah. Oh my God, I might send you to do a clearing to him. He needs it so bad.
Yep. Yeah. Seriously.
I mean, I need it terribly too, but
We
you're,
all need some Patty.
I know. It's, these are things that people don't really have clear direction on, right? Like energy is so powerful. The second, like I said, I started saying, I am done. I am done having to carry people, beg people to do their job, beg people to do something, and having to ask 10 times for the same thing. I don't know why I got myself into this situation, but I'm done. Like, I'm done. And so, whatever that means, I can love you personally, but professionally, we can't do this. And then in the personal life, I'm done. I'm just done. I want to be free. I want to be happy. I want to put my attentions where they're going to go and work with people who are going to work with me and elevate me, not drag me down. I'm exhausted, Patty, but I'm not the only one that feels like this. There are so many people out there that are trying to, like, it's almost like you're like a racehorse chained to like a wall. And you're like, I want to go, but they're holding me, and you just got to cut those chains. Or, I
They're
mean,
not holding you. You just have to decide that you want to work with the best and the people that support you.
yeah.
And it may be when they come, this is the thing, when those people do come, you start to feel, if that's not your normal set point, if that's not your normal familiar, it starts to feel a little out of sorts at times. It starts to feel too good to be true.
Mm-hmm.
It starts to feel that you're suspicious of someone that's just helping you. And that's what you need to look at is, why am I feeling suspicious of this person that has no agenda? Oh, because I'm bringing my party to their generosity or their, and I need to be more grateful. There's the gratitude again.
Yeah.
Because some people just want to help you because they love what you're doing, but you get all suspicious if you have a program that's like, what's their game? Like, what do they want?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your hyper vigilance kicks in, right?
Yeah.
Your all the programs of like, yeah, they're too good to be true. What's their game? What's their agenda? And
So
someone that doesn't have an agenda, someone that doesn't have an ulterior motive, I'll just be like, you know what? You're too much hard work, and they'll move on.
wow.
Because they're not there to jump through hoops to make you feel safe.
Yeah.
They're just there to help you. But if it makes you feel out of sorts, there's nothing they can really do. Because you have to meet it and you have to allow it to be what it is, which is generous. And if there is strings attached, you can say, oh, I didn't realize that it was, it involved that, but thank you. And you move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I've been manifesting, well, I ask for an abundance of amazing people and partners and investors and collaborators to come into my life every night. And ever since I started doing it, that started happening. And I think that they become the light, and then the dark is so dark. You're like, oh, I could have this, and this is what I've been dealing with. You're like, wait, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's a transition phase.
Yeah.
Because it's not part of your normal. And it can make you feel almost a little uncomfortable. And your job is to clean that uncomfortability, and where that is attaching to the 12-year-old, where that is bringing up the 5-year-old, where that is bringing up the 16-year-old, where that's bringing up something that happened to you in the business that really is derailing this opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's your work to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because the balance between am I not receiving this because it feels too much for me, or and now I'm going to use fear of being like suspiciousness to kind of push it away, and practicality, oh well, that's just not for someone like me. I whatever that means. Or that's just not part of my wheelhouse, or that's just not something that I can accept in my life because it just feels extremely uncomfortable. You have to look at those things. Why does it feel uncomfortable? But it's, all you've got is time right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time to do the work. This is the time to look at it. The
Yeah.
it that the consciousness knows is it. It's like the scary clown, It knows what your it is. And you have to eliminate it.
Yeah. I mean, we have a little bit of time ahead of us, right? Like if you think about it, I
Yeah.
I'm I don't see I don't see a vaccine before the end of the year. And also, we keep talking about a vaccine like we're confident it's going to happen. But there have been no vaccines for other major diseases and viruses. So
Yeah.
um, we may be living in this scenario for the next, at least for the rest of this year, obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a given. So if we prioritize our emotional wellness right now and really take stock of our lives, like Kelsey and I are spending the weekend and we're going to, create
Yeah.
our bucket list of what are the three buckets we're putting our energy into based
Yep.
on another guest on the show. And I'm going to reevaluate all of my relationships in my life and who I'm putting my time into
Mm-hmm.
and my energies into. And I'm just going to really take stock of everything. I'm in the woods, so this is a perfect place for me to have a
Yeah.
transformation and to think about things really carefully. But how does somebody who maybe hasn't even come to that place, but they know something's wrong, how do they start?
I think they've already started when they know something's wrong. When they know something's wrong, um, it can be overwhelming at first. But the more you begin to look and unpack it and realize that it can be shifted, then there's hope there. Because you may be in this position for 10 years, 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
15 years. And when you get to it, you get to it. It's very difficult to say. I mean, I have 17-year-olds and 16-year-olds and 10-year-olds that call me for, to do the work. But it's having the tools and knowing that we need to go forward with tools, that even if I am going to launch a business, even if I am going to look at my partnerships, even if I am going to look at my friends, I'm going to have to need some tools along the way that are going to serve me, that allows me to know, is this something that I'm using practicality for? Is this my fear that I'm imposing on this person? Or is this something that's just not for me and I need to take a pass on? You said that, you were going to look at all your friends and look at all your friend groups and stuff. I think it really is, does this person make me feel lighter? Or does, when I'm around these people, this thing, whatever it is, do I feel heavy? Do I feel dense? Do I feel drained? Then there's your indicator. And then asking, I wonder what that would look like. I wonder what it would look like to feel um, lighter. I wonder what it would look like, to have more joy in my life. I wonder who would be my collaborators that I would really enjoy working with, that would make me feel lighter. And lighter is more illuminated, it's feeling lighter, feeling energized, rather than feeling obliged. I think maybe you work from a lot of obligations. Like you feel obliged to take people with you.
Mm-hmm.
You feel obliged to um, give somebody a job that but you know they're not qualified for it. And that obligation is stealing a job from another person that really wants to do that job. But you're giving it to someone that just because they know you and think that they can do the job, is your your work to do,
Yeah.
because it's not about being disagreeable with people, but it's about not being agreeable for agreeable's sake. It's about obedience. I'm being obedient to this person because they think that they can, you know, work in my production company because I've known them for 5 years, or they're my cousin's daughter, or they're my you know, whatever it is. You have to ask yourself, you know, is this the best person for the job?
Yeah.
Because I need the best people right now. And I
Yeah.
need to, because I want Kevin and I to do more work that I know I'm capable of. That, you know, I know that you're only operating at 50% capacity.
Yep.
Right?
That sounds
I
about
know.
right.
But most people think, oh my goodness, you're doing, you must be up there about 80 or 90. But
Nope.
deep down, you know that you're between probably 45 and 50. Sometimes in a good day, you're 50 and you feel good. And then other times you're at 45. And you need to look at that other 50 and 55
Mm-hmm.
that is blocking and limiting you, um, bringing more of that joy and bringing more of that light forward and bringing more of those inspirational moments that you bring into people's lives,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's what you're cheating. You're cheating the contribution that you can make,
Yeah. Why I'm
that's
here.
in the unknown. It's not even happened yet, but something doesn't sit well with you, so you know something's not adding up, you know something's off, and you have to sit with the offness and be like, okay, I know that this feels uncomfortable. What is it? I wonder what it is that I can choose today. I wonder what it is I can contribute today to myself, to the world, to, um, better together. You know, and you're making that contribution with your show, but how can I contribute even more? I love my show, but not, oh, I want to do something else and I'm not comfortable where I'm at. I'm loving my show. I love it. I enjoy it. But what else could I enjoy?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the other people that don't enjoy where they're at right now. And they have to ask, what is the things that are holding me back from that thing that is keeping me up late at night with research, or, you know, no, you know, pulling at me and tugging at me and compelling me and calling me, that I'm ignoring because I have the rant, you know, who do I think I am? And I don't have the permission, that I have to dismantle.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of dismantling going on right now.
So true. I mean, I know in our lives we were dealt some bricks from the sky to say, yep, what got you to Egypt isn't going to get you to the promised land. We need to change it up. And so
Yeah.
there was substantial, there was maybe like a house, not just a brick. Maybe a house fell down. We were like, oh, and we finally looked up, Patty, and we realized, oh my gosh, we've been in this gerbil wheel going, 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 and now we're looking up and we're like, wait, that way wasn't serving us at all. It was only serving everybody else, um, and we don't want to do that way anymore. And so now it's like, oh well, let's reimagine and let's figure out how we would move it forward and how we would do things in the future. And that's been
Yeah.
such an exciting process. But I think collectively we're all in that moment or heading to that moment. Like that's probably why all this happened, right?
I don't know why it happened, but it's happened. And, but when you have so many people over the last 4 years calling for change, something has to change in our species. Something has to change with humans. Something has to change with humanity. Well, it's here.
Yeah.
We're in it. And it is a moment of deep contemplation. I don't think there's anyone that I know that isn't contemplating and looking at themselves in some form or other.
Yeah.
And then you have the family dynamic on top of it. People are, the gratitude that's coming out of, oh my God, I'm so grateful for the teachers of my kids. I'm so teaching, I'm so grateful for the schools. The things that we took for granted
Mm-hmm.
are also being brought to the surface. The people that helped us move forward, the people that even our practice, we kind of took for granted. And now people are starting to see um, the things that are important, and they're prioritizing things differently. And there's many things that are, everybody's in different situations in this pandemic. Some people are dealing with huge amounts of loss. uh, some people have lost their jobs. Some people have lost their businesses. And some people are doing really well on Zoom. Some people are doing really well with their online businesses. And it's there's so many different facets happening. Um, but I feel that there's this, better together. We're all in this together. When I was doing the tapping together videos early in March and April, there's this togetherness that I think people are really uh, recognizing right now.
Well, because we're together in a different way, Patty. Think about it. Trying to get any of us to be present pre COVID was a massive feat. Now we're home. We're not running around like you said. We're not going to dinner. So we are more present. So I think we have the ability to connect better than ever. Like I was speaking at Tony Robbins' seminar last week, and we had 23,000 people on a Zoom from 138
Wow.
countries. And I was afraid I wouldn't be able to connect with people because they were on Zoom. I felt them so deeply and they were
Yes.
so in it. And I'm like, wow, what an amazing human experiment. And that's all I can think is that because our lives have calmed down in some ways, obviously, like the massive chaos that we used to run in, right? Now we're a little bit more grounded to be able to see things, to feel things, to connect better. I know I'm connecting better with people too in a weird way.
Yeah, because we're encountering each other,
Hmm.
because there's no audience participation, whether you're a yoga teacher or a meditation teacher in your or someone like yourself. There's no audience, and the connecting through the people who are listening right now are it's so rich and so deep because it's energetic. I was using Zoom. I started using Zoom 5 years ago,
Hmm.
and my students and people were so grateful that they could attend circles and gatherings and workshops from Paris, from Seattle, from Boston, from Scotland, from Brazil, everywhere. So almost that my community were already resistant free
Yeah.
of the Zoom thing, of the computer thing. So they were seeing the gratitude of other people who couldn't be there in person, that when it came to this transition over, they were also so grateful that they could still we could still encounter each other, we could still be in each other's vibe, each other's energy, each other's we could still shift things
Yeah.
because
So
we had this. And that's a level of gratitude that I think we need to um, get into and really acknowledge.
yeah.
And also being considerate of people, that everybody's going through this, and different, some people don't have any tools. Some people are finding this like they're having an existential crisis.
Yeah.
You know, even just the gesture of when you go out and letting someone out in traffic, because you don't know where they're going. They could be going to the hospital. They could be going to get a test that they're worried about. They could be, you know, having to sit outside their grandparents' house because they can't go in. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so as being considerate, you know, I think we talk about being kind. There's a lot of this, oh, be kind to others, but I think we need to take a step back to from the kindness first and just be considerate of others,
Yeah.
that we don't know other people's experiences of what they're going through right now, and they don't know yours.
Yeah. Patty,
And
I
having that awareness.
I wonder, have you been able to do any Reiki sessions on anyone with COVID? I wonder.
Sen, none of my students have taken, which there's hundreds of COVID, but you know, some friends of friends that one was in the hospital and in the, you know, on a incubated, and then he came to and was released. Um, but we collectively send energy to the people who have it,
Got it.
who are in that space, in the in between space, because they're heavily medicated. So we
Yeah.
send energy to them.
So you're able to do not officially Reiki when you're not in front of somebody, but energetically you can send them energy, right?
Oh no, I can do right Reiki distance.
You can.
Yes.
I was watching one of your videos and I saw you and you were talking about how you when you do Reiki over someone you're looking for heat in the body, cold, anything stuck. Um
Tingling, you know, tingling is a sign that there's inflammation or the start of a disease, is a culmination of energy coming together, and it's starting to be an infection, or the person's extremely run down, and it's going to go into, in Ayurveda we call it the ojas. The ojas is your reserves of energy. In Western talk, that's I'm running on empty.
got it. Yeah.
Running on empty. So when you feel depleted and you go into the ojas, that's when you start to have autoimmune diseases,
Mm.
Mm.
So
because you're bringing the reserve.
how do you do Reiki when you're not with somebody and you can't
Well,
feel
because
those things?
everything is energy, everything is vibration. So I'm connecting in to that person's vibration through time and space.
Ah,
I can even send it back. Uh, my students at level 2 will send energy back to each year in their life to integrate what I call the glitches, which are the 2-year old that's having a tantrum, but it's in a 48-year-old woman. You know, the
Wow.
5-year old, the 14-year old, the 18, the thing that you went through, and you send energy. So you're creating a ripple, you're creating a paradox.
Oh
It's
my
like,
God.
and then we
well,
send it forward as well.
well, because
Because,
you're right. Because Anita Morjani, when she was on the show, was talking about how time on the other side, past and present are all and future are all,
yes,
the same.
yes,
So you're saying a similar thing. You're saying
yes.
because we know that you, when you're working with people, can send energy to the 2-year-old because the 2-year-old and the 42-year-old here can they're just different energy lines, like different highways are in
Because
a
it
sense.
activates. You know, when you have that CEO who's having a temper tantrum,
Uh-huh.
there's your 2-year old right there, not getting its way.
Wow.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like earlier I was having a mini tantrum of my own. And I'm realizing, oh my God, that was me dealing with unreasonable people in my family growing up.
Yes,
And it's just
that's
happening all over
reactivating.
again.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, Patty.
Yes. And when you send the energy back, you never really know what you're going to come. It's like the unknown. You don't know what's going to come up. You send it back to a year and you think, oh, that was a really good year. And then you remember, or you feel this clearing, and then you're like, oh, I know what this is. And then there's the years that you think were really hard, tough years, and you send energy and it takes, no time at all. So you can never really quite tell. And it is a an act of faith that my students put in the process because they want to clean it and they want to integrate the system.
How long does it take to clear out all of the tantrums of the past? Like,
Sometimes people, well, they have to do it in 30 days, but they're not consecutive. So sometimes they need to take a break, or sometimes they delay the process because things start to shift very quickly in the present. So it usually takes on average a year. And though over the years, it used to be, it could take people 3 years, it could take people 5 years. Some people never finished it because they don't want to forgive certain things. They don't want to integrate. They want that glitch still there protecting them that is also derailing them.
because it's too hard.
They just don't want to go there.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And that's something I let them sit with until they say, okay, maybe I need to have a session on this, or maybe I need to blow this up, or maybe I need to do a burning on this, or maybe I really need a whatever it is, we'll do it.
And I think it's like Popeye or something was like, I can't stand it no more.
Yeah.
So they
You know,
finally get to that place, like, okay, I got to do
I'm
this.
done.
but then they also send it to future things. I sent energy to this today from yesterday.
What
From
did you
our
send?
for our better together today. I sent energy
Oh,
to this.
oh,
And how did you do that? What did you do?
I sat yesterday and I, you know, tuned into your name, into Jeff's, into better together, what you're creating here and the vibration. And I use certain frequencies and vibrations to, you know, through time and space, tomorrow already exists, right? Because the past, the present, and the future are happening simultaneously. That's what they tell you. So there's the pen, right? There's the timeline. So there's today, there was yesterday, and there's tomorrow. So if I'm sending energy to, tomorrow, I'm sending it in the timeline because that's how we think of time as flat. But if I turn the pen that way, it's all on the same.
Wow.
So if I send energy to like an interview that I'm going to or a meeting that I'm going to, then I don't need to worry.
You're setting the tone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm already sending that energy and also saying to myself, well, why am I worried? I've sent energy to it. And I know
Interesting.
this works because I'm also tuned into it. So
wow.
there you go.
Yeah, I did that. I did that before an event where I was going to have to face somebody that had been not kind. And so before I went to the event, I did a meditation and I asked that this be a positive encounter and that the person saw the truth in their heart and recognized it and moved on from it and whatever. And after I did it, I felt really good, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna walk in, I'm gonna do my thing. I didn't do anything wrong, and the energy completely shifted. Somebody who was not nice at all, and then all of a sudden they were super nice.
Yeah.
And so I've dabbled, but I really like sharing some of these stories with people to let them know what we're really capable of if we actually put our attention there.
Yes. Yeah. It's also knowing that when we worry, we're creating that worry of it going to be a confrontation.
Mm.
We're also walking in with that vibe, with that energy. And that energy, we're all reading each other's energy when we walk in a room.
Yep.
Someone looks at you and they're like, I don't like their vibe, or I don't like, or I love that vibe. I love what, who's that person, and they gravitate towards you. People are reading each other's energy all the time. They do it in interviews. First 30 seconds, they know.
Yeah. Yeah. So
It's
true.
something that we have to begin to harness so that we energetically feel into what feels right for you. It's like when I'm working with kids and I say to kids, if something doesn't feel right, run.
Yeah.
Because children are very energetically aware. They don't know why they're repelled by someone. They don't know why something doesn't feel right. But sometimes they don't give themselves permission to run or say what they need to say because they're too afraid. They don't want to be rude to an adult. They don't want to be. So I try and activate that in kids as well as activate it in adults.
Yeah. It's like listen to your gut at any
Yes,
age.
because the gut and the gut and the brain. I think I lost you there.
No, we're here.
You know, the Chinese call the gut the brain of the stomach. And when you were in the womb, the brain in the stomach and the brain in the head was the same. And then it splits. And then there is a nerve, the vagus nerve, that goes down the spine into the stomach. So imagine this is your intuition, right? This is your knower. And your gut is your instincts. And when these things are aligned, your intuition tells you, go talk to that person over there. And your instincts, yeah, that feels right. And you walk towards them. So your intuition, your instincts are a way for you to know what's next for you, know what is right for you. And sometimes even sitting with it, because right now there's some people that are like, I don't know whether I stay in my apartment or not, or if I stay, in New York, or if I stay in Florida, and just sitting with that. Okay, I don't know, but I know I do know. And I'm going to sit and wait till that thing drops in that tells me what to do. Because I do know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good reminder because I know a lot of people are struggling with that too. Like, where do I go? Where is my home going to be? Because home is
Yeah.
changing because a lot of home was, I don't know if we just lost power on my camera. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Patty, you said a lot of energy to us, I think. Um,
Maybe I overdid it.
this is hilarious. Well, you could use that camera right there. That one's on, maybe. Just angle that one
I
over.
walked into someone's house once
Uh
and
huh.
all the electricity tripped.
Oh my
And the
God.
kids' game box all went off. They were like, oh, Patty's here.
That's so funny.
Okay.
Well, I mean, this has never happened, but this is strange.
Patty,
But
tell us
Look, we
why,
have the
please.
rainbow colors on the screen.
it's so crazy. But we'll get to the bottom of it. But yeah, I think it's an important thing to point out for people because a lot of people's home was tied to where their work was, and now work is at home. So now you have a free, kind of pass to move your work move your home wherever you want to go.
Yes, but I actually think that question was in the mix for a while of where would I want to live? Where would I want to be if I could live anywhere?
Yeah.
That question had been asked starting 10 years ago when people started to travel and work from home and do YouTube stuff and become influencers and do all this different thing. They were like, oh, where do I really want to live that isn't attached to, a city that I have to be in?
Yeah.
Having to be there is not the same as really wanting to be there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well,
So I think and also companies, look at all the companies that have said, oh, through to 2021, you are going to be able to work from home. This might be a permanent thing.
oh yeah.
So this is going to change the demographics. This is going to change people saying, you know what, I want to have a farm, I want to have a ranch, I want to
Mhm.
have, an apartment and, in another city, in a smaller city, a smaller town. It's really, and it may even bring some life to some of these smaller towns that have been struggling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could
I
be
know I've
really,
always wanted a ranch with a lot of animals, so I feel like we're heading in that direction ourselves as well.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, rescuing mini horses and goats and pygmy goats. Yes, that sounds nice. While people are, coming in circles and healing. Yeah,
Patty, come to
that's
Connecticut. I
that's
have I have
that's the
six
vibe.
I have six lots on this property. You can build on one of them. I was saying to Kelsey this morning on our walk, we bought this because there was a lot of acreage involved, and I was like, oh, this is a great doomsday property. That's what me and Kevin said. And
Well, it's here.
well, it's kind of here, and I was like,
But
well,
let's make Doomsday the smoothie
yeah,
of the
smoothie day.
caterpillar,
So for
and
our smoothie
turn it
day,
into into the butterfly.
yeah, well, now I was like, we could pick people that we want to live with us on here. We can live off the land, we can have animals, and we have a massive garden. And I'm like, we can have like our own little community in here. It'd be amazing. So, Patty, I would love for you to be here. We would have so much fun.
Wouldn't it be fun? I'd be like so joyous
Oh, well,
and
I want to throw retreats
stressed.
here. I've wanted to do better together retreats, and it's beautiful here. It's so peaceful. So, it might be happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been thinking about next year and thinking, because right now there are traumas happening that are silently happening in people's lives. The
Hmm.
self-isolation is making people anxious,
Yep.
depressed, it's changing their behaviors, but we won't know what those things are. Like when you're in a trauma and you're so in the trauma that the cortisone's going in your body, and you don't really know until 2 years later, 3 years later, how that affected you. Look at 9/11. People I worked with after 9/11 were realizing how that changed their decision making process
Mm,
of where they wanted to live, what they wanted to do, how they shut down, how they became um, fearful. And it changed them. And this is going to change people as well. And I want you to know that we don't know what those things are right now,
mm-hmm.
but just to ponder that of, okay, because people don't turn agoraphobic overnight. It's little things. Oh well, I can have things delivered. Oh well, and I don't like to go out, or I get anxious now when I go out to the grocery store.
Yep.
So now we have to, I was even thinking, do I just get a Winnebago, take my two dogs, and do town halls next year? To
And do
tap
what?
on and do town halls,
Oh,
to
yeah,
tap on people, and
totally.
and give
Patty on
people,
the road.
yeah, because it's people are really going to need to clear some of the things that this has brought up for them, or
Yep.
that they haven't even energetically, they can feel it, emotionally they haven't branded it yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Energetically they can feel, people say, I feel dense right now, I feel paralyzed, I feel I'm taking a lot of naps, I get shut down,
Yep.
I'm eating too much, I'm emotionally tranquilizing through food. So there's a lot of things that are going to be needed. We're going to have to address it post this.